Hello, I would like to thank everyone for letting me speak, and thank you all for coming together, because seeing this magnitude of people lets me know that there are all people who care about this issue. And when I was first asked to do this, I was told to tell my story and to tell people what I want them to know. The first thing I want you to know is something that I was reminded of during the beginning address yesterday. One of the ladies said that domestic violence doesn't discriminate against race, religious, or domestic background, and she listed every area of life except for disability. And I would like to remind everybody that domestic violence does not discriminate against disability. In fact, when you are disabled, you are at a higher risk of experiencing domestic violence, either from a caregiver or a spouse. And as a result, the domestic violence team needs to be very friendly towards people with disabilities. And as you will hear later on from my story, the supports that surround domestic violence victims are not accessible to people with disabilities. Let me start and give you a little bit of background about me. I am, and of course I said my name is Crystal Foreman. I have spastic CD at the quadriplegic level. In layman's terms, that firstly means I need help with all activities of daily living, and as you will see, that contributed to what later on escalated to abuse. In my dating life, I was a little bit skeptical of finding someone, as you can well imagine, because I thought, there's no one that would even dream of doing everything you need to do to be with me. So when I first connected with my abuser, he was Prince Charming. Never did anything wrong, always did what I thought to be everything right. In fact, one of the things that made me fall in love with him was the fact that he would say, "You are no longer disabled, because what I can do, you can do." And in the beginning, I was skeptical about that. I would say to myself, "Yeah, right, you don't know the deal." And I would wait for the shoe to drop. But we dated for an entire year and a half without any incidents. He asked me to marry him. I thought, it was a dream come true, and I said yes. Had the wedding of my dreams. I thought that was the beginning of the rest of my fairy tale life. And less than 24 hours after we got married, he hit me for the first time. I was still on. He hit me. He hit me because I had forgotten to remind him to pack his medicine. And next thing I know, he slapped me in my face, and the abuse escalated from there. And I went through a mental cycle. First, I'm a very religious person, so at first I prayed to God that he would change and it would never happen again. Of course, he always said the last time would be the last time. And I prayed that, God would allow him to change and that it would never happen again. As time went on, the abuse got worse um, here's a guy that I would wake up to a pillow being pressed up against my face at night. That's how I would wake up. That's how I would wake up during the night. So I went through life for the next 9 months, wondering when he was going to kill me. Anyway, after that, I started praying that he would not make me any more disabled than I was, because he would always laugh at me, stating that he could kill me and not leave any physical evidence. So I started praying that he wouldn't leave me more disabled than I already was. And then, as time went on, I eventually evolved into praying for a way out, because another thing abusers like to do is isolate you. And he had threatened me that if he saw my parents visit me without prior knowledge, without him having prior knowledge, he would kill my parents. And due to the fact that I've always had personal care assistants, my dad and I always had a code word, because he and I always knew that the likelihood of abuse from a caregiver was high. So we were prepared for that. But he made one mistake, which was to ask me if I remembered the code phrase in front of my abuser. And even though he never said what the code phrase was, ever since my abuser knew that a code phrase existed, the abuse escalated that much higher. I was not allowed to talk on the phone without the phone being on speakerphone. I was not allowed to visit my family without him present. But as I said, I started praying for a way out. And the one thing I want to say is, as you've heard over and over again, a victim cannot just walk up and leave. They have to make sure there are safety mechanisms in place before they leave. So I saw my way out when he had to go to the doctor's office. That was the first time in 9 months I had been left alone. And I had a 2-hour window in which to leave my abuser and get to a safe place. Well, knowing that I had brought this on my own and not wanting to rely on my aging parents, I called a shelter. And I was told that the shelter could not accommodate someone of my needs, and I was turned away from the shelter. Keep in mind now, I want to tell you that I did not ask the shelter staff to provide me with my daily care needs. I asked them for the ability to have my staff deliver services within their facility. And they still told me no, and they still told me that I had to find another safe haven. And the reason why I specifically put this into my story is, as I get older, my parents are getting older too. And their ability to help me decreases over the years. What would have happened to me if this had happened 15 years later in life, and my father and stepmother were physically unable to care for me? I can tell you with 100% certainty that given that scenario, he would have killed me, because I would have felt like I would have had no way out. And if nobody else in this room remembers anything else I'm saying to you, I know there's a lot of professionals in this room, and when you go back, I want you to join me in the fight to make a shelter accessible for women and people with disabilities, because having a disability doesn't decrease the likelihood of being abused. And according to the ADA, 1 out of every 5 Americans have some sort of disability. So the fact that shelters are not equipped to the level that they need to be is really a disservice to the entire community. And also, I would like to add this to my story. After I got out of the situation and we returned to my home and my apartment in Raleigh, I was still having somewhat of emotional issues. For me, the emotional time was always at night, because at night was when I was alone. At night was when, staff went on with their life, and I was alone. So that was the most emotional time for me. And one particular time, I called the 24-hour crisis line because I was really emotional and I needed to talk to somebody. I dialed the number that I had been given, and I talked to some operator on the helpline, and she told me that she couldn't understand me to call back during business hours. And I don't have a severe speech impediment, as I'm sure all of you can tell. And the fact that I was told that during what I would consider one of the lowest emotional points of my life could have led to, a different outcome than they would have wanted. So I also wanted to leave you with the idea that people who serve on those helplines need to be made aware of speech impediment and need to have sensitivity training around the issue of disability.